Kathmandu Valley lies at the crossroads of ancient civilization of the Indian subcontinent and the broader Asian continent, and has at least 130 important monuments, including several pilgrimage sites for Hindus and Buddhists. Here are 7 World Heritage Sites within the valley. Before show you 7 UNESCO Heritage Sites, I want to give short information about Kathmandu Valley. Historically, the valley and adjoining areas made up a confederation known as the Nepal Mandala. Until the 15th century, Bhaktapur was its capital, when 2 other capitals, Kathmandu and Lalitpur, Patan, were established. The Kathmandu Valley is the most developed and populated place in Nepal. The majority of offices and headquarters are located in the valley, making it the economic hub of Nepal. It is popular with tourists for the unique architecture and rich culture that includes the highest number of jatras, street festivals in Nepal. The valley itself was referred to as Nepal Proper by British historian. In 2015, Kathmandu Valley was hit by the 25th April 2015 Nepal earthquake. The earthquake caused thousands of deaths and destruction of many infrastructures across the Kathmandu Valley. Mythology. According to Swoyambhu Puran, the Kathmandu Valley was once a lake, deemed by scientists as Paleo Kathmandu Lake. The hill where the Swoyambhu Stupa rests had lotus plants with flowers in bloom. One story says that the god Manjushri caught a gods at a valley called Khasapal, later called Chovar, with a sword called Chandraharsha, and drain away the waters in order to establish a habited land. According to Gopal Vangshavali, Krishna caught the gods with his Sudarshan Chakra to let the water out. He then handed the drained valley to the Gopal Vangshi people, who were nomadic cow herders. History. The Kathmandu Valley may have been inhabited as early as 300 BC, since the oldest known object in the valley date to a few hundred years before Christ. The earliest known description is dated 185 BC. The oldest firmly dated building in the earthquake-prone valley is over 2000 years old. 4 stupas around the city of Patan that are said to have been erected by a Charumati, a purported daughter of the Maurya Emperor Ashok, in the 3rd century. The stupas probably date to that century. The Licchavis, whose earliest inscriptions date to 464 AD, were the next rulers of the valley and had close ties with the Gupta Empire of India. The Malla ruled Kathmandu Valley and the surrounding areas from the 12th to until 18th century, when the Shaha dynasty of the Gorkha kingdom under Prithvinarayan Shaha conquered the valley as he created present-day Nepal. Nevas. The Nevas are the indigenous inhabitants and the creatures of the historic civilization of the valley. Their language is today known as Nepal Bhasha. They are understood to be the descendants of the various ethnic and racial groups that have inhabited and ruled the valley in the 2 millennium history of the place. Scholars have also described the Nevas as a nation. They have developed a division of labor and a sophisticated urban civilization not seen elsewhere in the Himalayan foothills. They are known for their contributions to art, sculpture, architecture, culture, literature, music, industry, trade, agriculture, and cuisines, and left their mark on the art of Central Asia. Neva architecture consists of the pagoda, stupa, shikhara, chaitya, and other styles. The valley's trademark is the multiple roofed pagoda, which may have originated in this area and spread to India, China, Indochina, and Japan. Pashupatinath Temple is a famous and sacred Hindu temple complex that is located on the banks of the Bagmati River, approximately 5 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu, in the eastern part of Kathmandu Valley, the capital of Nepal. The temple serves as the seat of Nepal's national deity, Lord Pashupatinath. This temple complex was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage Sites list in 1979. This extensive Hindu temple precinct is a sprawling collection of temples, ashrams, images, and inscriptions raised over the centuries along the banks of the sacred Bagmati River and is included as one of the 7 groups in UNESCO designation of Kathmandu Valley as a cultural heritage site. One of the major festival of the temple is Mahashivratri, on which day over 1 million devotees visit here. The temple is one of the 275 Tamil Padal Petra Stalmas, holy abodes of Shiva on the continent. Kotirudra Samhita, chapter 11 on the Shivalingas of the north in Shiva Puran, mentions the Shivalinga as the best over all of wishes. Dedicated to Lord Shiva, Pashupatinath is one of the 4 most important religious sites in Asia for devotees of Shiva. Built in the 5th century and later renovated by Malla kings, the site itself is said to have existed from the beginning of the millennium when a Shiva Lingam was discovered here. The largest temple complex in Nepal, it stretches on both sides of the Bagmati River, which is considered by holy by Hindus. The main pagoda-style temple has a gilded roof, 4 sides covered in silver and wood, carving of the finest quality. Temples dedicated to several other Hindu and Buddhist deities surround the temples of Pashupatinath. Nearby is the temple of Goeswari, dedicated to Shiva's consort Sati Devi. Cremation of Hindus take place on raised platforms along the river. Only Hindus are allowed inside the gates of the main temple. The inner sanctum has a Shiva Lingam, and outside sits the larger statue of Nandi, the bull, the vehicle of Shiva. There are hundreds of Shiva Lingam within the compound. The big Mahashivratri festival in spring attracts hundreds of thousands of devotees from within Nepal and from India. Experience this highly recommended religious hub for a mix of religious, culture and spiritual experience. Located 5 km northwest of Kathmandu on the banks of the Bagmati River. The temple area also includes Patan, Jai Bageshwari, Gauri Ghat, Holy Bath, Kutumbahal, Gausala, Pingla Sthan, and Slesmantan Forest and Bhuvaneshwari Temple. These are around 492 temples, 15 Shivalayas, shrines of Lord Shiva, and 12 Jyotirlinga, Phallic shrines to explore. It is also a cremation site where the last rites of Hindus are performed. The sites and events at cremation is not for the faint-hearted. Still, visitors are seen watching curiously from across the river from the hill. The temple was erected anyway in the 5th century by Lichavi king Prachandadev after the previous building was consumed by termites. Over time, many more temples have been erected around this 2-story temple. These include the Vaishnava temple complex with a Ram temple from the 14th century and the Goeswari temple mentioned in an 11th century manuscript. Legend surrounding the origin of the temple. Pashupatinath temple is the oldest Hindu temple in Kathmandu. It is not known for certain when Pashupatinath temple was built, but according to Nepal Mahatmya and Himbawat Khanda, the deity here gained great fame there as Pashupati, the lord of all Pashus, animals, which are living as well as non-living beings. Pashupatinath temple's existence dates back to 400 BC. The richly ornamented pagoda houses the sacred lingas or holy symbol of Lord Shiva. There are many legends describing as to how the temple of Lord Alok Pashupatinath came to existence here. Some of them are narrated below. The Lichavi legend. According to Gopal Raj Alok Bangsawali, the oldest ever chronicles in Nepal, this temple was built by Prachandadev, a Lichavi king who, according to the stone inscription erected by Jayadev XI in the courtyard of Pashupatinath in 753 AD, happened to be the ruler 39 generations before Mandev, 464 to 505 AD. The Devalaya legend. Another chronicle states that the Pashupatinath temple was in the form of linga, except Devalaya before Susupa Dev constructed a 5-story temple of Pashupatinath in this place. As the time passed, the need for repairing and renovating this temple arose. It is known that this temple was reconstructed by a medieval king named Shiva Dev 1099 to 1126 AD. It was renovated by Anand Malla, adding a roof to it. Thousands of pilgrims from all over the world came to pay homage to this temple. That is also known as the Temple of Living Beings. Other beliefs. There are several complex stories involving the origins of Pashupatinath. One story goes in brief that Shiva and Parvati came to Kathmandu Valley and rested by the Bhaktapur while on a journey. Shiva was so impressed by its beauty and the surrounding forest that he and Parvati changed themselves into deer and walked into the forest. Many spots in Kathmandu Valley have been identified as places where Shiva went during his time as a deer. After a while, the people and gods began to search for Shiva. Finally, after various complications, they found him in the forest, but he refused to leave. More complications ensued, but ultimately Lord Shiva announced that since he had lived by the Bhagmati river in a deer's form, he would now be known as Pashupatinath, Lord of all animals. It is said that whoever came here and beheld the lingam that appeared there would not be reborn as an animal. Finding of Shiva Linga at Pashupatinath temple. It is said that the wish-fulfilling cow Kamdhenu took shelter in a cave on the Chandravan mountain. Every day Kamdhenu went down to the place the lingam was sunken into the soil and poured her milk on top of the soil. After a few thousand years, some people saw Kamdhenu pouring milk on that same spot every day and started to wonder what that would be. So they removed the soil and found the beautiful shining Shivalinga and started worshipping it. Rains. Main temple architecture. This main temple is built in the Nepalese pagoda style of architecture. All the features of pagoda style are found here like cubic constructions, beautifully carved wooden rafters on which they rest stood out. The two level roofs are of copper with gold covering. The temple resides on a square base platform with a height of 23 meter, 7 centimeter from base to pinnacle. It has 4 main doors, all covered with silver seats. This temple has a gold pinnacle gajur. Inside are 2 garbhagriha, outer and inner. The inner garbhagriha or sanctorum is where the idol is placed, and other sanctums is an open corridor-like space. The Deity, the sacrosanctum or the main idol is a stone mukhalinga with a silver yoni base bound with a silver serpent. The lingam is 1 meter high and has faces in 4 directions. These faces represent various aspects of Shiva. Shadyojat, also known as Varun, Brahmadev, also known as Adranareshwar, Tatpurush, Agor and Ishan, imaginative, facing west, north, east, south and zenith, respectively representing 5 primary elements, namely earth, water, air, light and ether. Each face has tiny protruding hands holding Rudraksha mala on right hand and a kamandalu on the other. Unlike other Shiva Lingam in India and Nepal, this Pashupati Shiva Lingam is always dressed in its golden vastram, except during Abhishek. So pouring milk and Gangajal is only possible during Abhishek through the main priests. This Pashupati Shiva Lingam is always dressed in golden vastram. Priest, Bhatta also spelled as Bhat, are highly educated Vedic Dravid Brahman scholars from Karnataka. Unlike other Hindu temple, priesthoods of Pashupatinath is not hereditary. Priests are selected from a group of scholars educated by Sri Shankaracharya Dakshina Manya Pit, Sringeri on Rigvedic recitation initiation in Pashupati yoga by Kashimath, Shiva Agam, and long recitation of Samved from Haridwar are qualifying and fulfilling all those criteria. They are selected for priesthood by Rajguru of Pashupatinath. Temple undergoing strict examination on Vedas and Shiva Agams, and then the chosen priest is sent to Kathmandu for performing puja and daily worship of Lord Shiva Pashupatinath. The unique feature of this temple is that only 4 Bhatta priests can touch the deity. Current Bhatta priests of the temple are Bhandaris, also called Raj Bhandaris, are the treasurers, temple caretakers and assistant priests of the temple. These Bhandaris are the descendants of helper priests brought up by early Bhattas, but were allowed to settle in Kathmandu Valley and later assimilated in exiting Neva caste of Raj Bhandari, a high caste Kshatriya clan of Kashyapa Gotra. Their main function is to help the Bhatta priest and perform maintenance of the inner Garbhagriha. They can have little or no Vedic knowledge but still qualify as assistant priests if they belong from the same family lineage and undergo some basic criteria like caste, gotra, lineage purity, educational qualification. They work in a set of 3 and change in every full moon day. There are a total of 108 Bhandaris. Entry and Darshan. The temple courtyard has 4 entrances in the cardinal directions. The western entrance is the main entrance to the temple courtyard, and the remaining 3 entrances are open only during festivals. The temple security armed police force Nepal and the Pashupatinath Area Development Trust has selective regarding who is allowed entry into the inner courtyard. Practicing Hindus and Buddhists of Nepali diaspora are only allowed into temple courtyard. Practicing Hindus of western descents are not allowed into the temple complex and must go no further than other non-Hindu visitors. An exception is granted to Sikhs and Jains. If they are of Indian ancestry, they may enter the temple complex. Others can look at the main temple from the adjacent sides of the river and have to pay a nominal fee of $10, 1,000 rupees for visiting the hundreds of small temples located in the external premises of the temple complex. The inner temple courtyard remains open from 4 am to 7 pm for the devotee, but the inner Pashupatinath temple, where the lingam of Lord Pashupatinath is established, is open from 5 am to 12 pm for the morning ritual and viewing, and from 5 pm to 7 pm for the evening ritual. Unlike many other Shaiva temples, devotees are not allowed to enter in the innermost Garbhagriha premises but are allowed to watch from the exterior premises of the outer Garbhagriha. Abhishek. The inner sanctums where the Shivalinga is placed has 4 entrances, east, west, north, south. Normally devotees will have the Shivalinga darshan through western door, instance only from 9:30 to 1:30. Devotees can worship from all the 4 doors. All the 4 doors are also open during the Abhishek time, 9 to 11 am. All the 4 sides of the Shiva Linga Darshan are possible during this period. One can take the Abhishek tickets at the SBI counter available at the entrance of the temple. The basic Abhishek tickets cost around Nepalese 1000, which includes the Rudra Abhisheks and various other pujas. Abhisheks will be drawn based on the direction the mukh is reviewed. If you receive says as eastern direction, then one needs to stand in the queue at the eastern entrance, wherein the priest will do the Abhishek for the eastern mukh of the Shivalinga. Festivals. There are many festivals throughout the year and thousands of people attend these festivals. The most important festivals are the Mahashivaratri, Bala Chaturdashi festival and Tej festival. Tej is one of the most celebrated festival at Pashupati temple. It is celebrated by Hindu Nepali women for long life, happiness of their husband. It is believed that taking fasting at that day will make strong bond between the husband and wife. On this day, Pashupati temple will be with biggest crowd. 2015 great earthquake. The main temple complex of Pashupatinath and the sanctorum was left untouched, but some of the outer buildings in the World Heritage Site were damaged by the April 2015 great massive earthquake. And evening prayer is the major attraction of Pashupatinath temple area in summertime, 7 p.m. in the evening, and in winter season, 6 p.m. is the major attraction of evening prayer at Pashupatinath temple. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Bhaktapur Durbar Square. In Nepal Bhasha, Khopa Laiku is the royal palace of the old Bhaktapur kingdom, 1,400 meters above sea level. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Bhaktapur Durbar Square is located in the current town of Bhaktapur or Bhatgaon, also known as Khopa, which lies 13 km east of Kathmandu. While the complex consists of at least 4 distinct squares: Durbar Square, Taumari Square, Dattatreya Square and Pottery Square. The whole area is informally known as the Bhaktapur Durbar Square and is a highly visited site in the Kathmandu Valley. Major attractions: the Golden Gate or Lion Gate. The Golden Gate is said to be the most beautiful and richly molded specimen of its kind in the entire world. The door is surrounded by a figure of Hindu goddess Kali and Garuda, mythical griffin, and attended by 2 heavenly nymphs. It is embellished with monsters and other Hindu mythical creatures of marvelous intricacy. Percy Brown, an eminent English art critic and historian, described the Golden Gate as the most lovely piece of art in the whole kingdom. It is placed like a jewel, flashing innumerable facets in the handsome setting of its surroundings. The gate was erected by King Ranjit Malla and is the entrance to the main courtyard of Palace of 55 Windows. Statue of Bhuptendra Malla. The statue of King Bhuptendra Malla in the act of worship can be seen on a column facing the palace. Of the square's many statues, this is considered to be the most magnificent. The Palace of 55 Windows. Pachpana Jhale Darbar. 55 Windows Palace was built during the reign of the Malla King Bhuptendra Malla, who ruled from 1696 to 1722 AD and was not complete until 1754 AD during the reign of his son Ranjit Malla. Temples. Vatsala Devi Temple. Vatsala Devi Temple was a stone temple dedicated to goddess Vatsala Devi that included many carvings. It was most famous for its silver bell, known to local residents as the bell of barking dogs, as when it was rung, dogs in the vicinity barked and howled. The colossal bell was hung by King Ranjit Malla in 1737 AD and was used to sound the daily curfew. It was rung every morning when goddess Taliju were worshipped. Despite the temple being completely demolished by the 2015 earthquake, the bell remains intact. Mini Pashupatinath Temple. The holy god Shiva Temple. The Mini Pashupati is believed to be built right in front of the palace after a Bhatgaon king dreamed of it. Erotic Elephants Temple. On the left, just before the entrance way to the square, is a Hiti water tap. A few steps before that, but on the other side of the road, Just 100 meters before the entranceway is a tiny double-roofed Shiva Parvati temple with some erotic carvings on its struts. One of these shows a pair of copulating elephants. In this missionary position, Kisi elephant, Kamasutra, Ugrachandi and Ugra Bhairav temple. Near the main gate at the west end, one can admire a pair of multiple arms statues of the terrible god Ugra Bhairav and his counterpart Ugrachandi, the fearsome manifestation of Shiva's consort Parvati. The statues date back to 1701 AD, and it is said that the unfortunate sculptor had his hands cut off afterwards to prevent him from duplicating his masterpieces. Ugrachandi has 18 arms holding weapons, and she is in the position of causally killing a buffalo demon. Bhairav has 12 arms, and both god and goddess are garlanded with necklaces of human heads. Rameswar Temple. The first temple on notice on the right of the gate is Rameswar, in front of Gopinath Temple, which is a Gumbaja style. It is an open shrine with 4 pillars, and it is dedicated to Shiva. The name Rameswar comes from that it was Ram as an incarnation of Vishnu, who had the original temple of Mahadev built at Rameswar Temple in South India. Boudhanath Temple, a small temple west of the Gopinath Temple, locally known as Narayan, is dedicated to Vishnu and Narayan. Gopinath Temple, 2-roofed pagoda style, is the Gopinath Temple, attached to Rameswar Temple that houses the 3 deities, Balaram, Subhadra and Krishna. It is difficult to see the deities as the door remains mostly closed. The temple is also known as Jagannath, which is another form taken by Vishnu, Dwaraka, also known as the Krishna Temple. Houses 3 deities left to right, Satyabhama, Krishna and Radha. Their images are carved in stone. In the month of Mangsir, November-December, the deities are placed in a palanquin and taken around the city. Kedarnath Temple. The terracotta-made Shikhara-style temple is the Kedarnath Shiva Temple. Hanuman statue. The entrance to the National Art Gallery is flanked by the figure of Hanuman, the monkey god, who appears in tantric form as the 4-armed Hanuman Bhairav. Hanuman is worshipped for strength and the devotion. Nethapola Temple. Nethapola in Newari language means 5 stories, the symbolic of 5 basic elements. This is the biggest and highest pagoda of Nepal ever built with such architectural perfection and artistic beauty. The temple's foundation is said to be made wider than its base. The temple is open for the public once a year during Dasai. The goddess who owns the temple is goddess Siddhi-Lakshmi, and as bodyguards, those statues are built, which we can see in 5 layers of the base of temple. It is said that it took 3 generations to complete the temple. The temple is famously known as Panchtale Mandir. Bhairavnath Temple. Bhairavnath Temple is dedicated to Bhairav, the most fierce manifestation of Lord Shiva. Pottery Square. Pottery Square, hidden down soft-lined alleyways leading south from the carving road to Taumari Chowk. Potter's Square is exactly what you would expect. A public square full of potters, wheels and rows of clay pots drying in the sun. Nearby buildings were damaged by the 2015 earthquake, but life and pottery in the square continues impact of earthquakes. This is the center of Bhaktapur ceramic industry, and it's a fascinating place to wander around. Several shops sell the finished article, and you can see the firing process at the back of the square, which is lined with mud-covered straw kilns. On the northern side of the square, a small hillock is topped by a shady peepal tree and a Ganesh shrine, surrounded by piles of straw for the pottery kilns. In the square itself is a solid brick Vishnu temple, which was constructed from remnants of temples destroyed in the 1934 quake, and the double-rooted Jet Ganesh temple, which priest is chosen from the Kumang potter's caste. During the harvest in October, every square inch that is not covered by pots is covered by drying rice. Dattatreya Temple. At the east end of Tachupal Chol, the eye-catching Dattatreya Temple was originally built in 1427 AD, supposedly using the timber from a single tree. The slightly mismatched front porch was added later. The temple is dedicated to Dattatreya, a curious hybrid deity, blending elements of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Judging from the Garuda statue and the Kansa and Chakra discs mounted on pillars supported by stone turtles in front of the temple, Vishnu seems to have come out on top. The three-story temple is raised above the ground on a brick and terracotta base, which is carved with erotic scenes, including unexpected humor where on-board-looking woman multitasks by washing her hair while being pleasured by her husband. The main steps to the temples are guarded by statue of the same two Malla wrestlers who watch over the first prince of the Nepal Temple. National Art Gallery. The western end of Bhaktapur's Royal Palace contains the best of the three museums in Bhaktapur. Inside, you can view an extensive collection of tantric cloth paintings, the Hindu version of Buddhist tankas, as well as palm leaf manuscripts and metal, stone, and wooden votive objects, some of which date from the 12th century. Keep hold of your tickets, as this also covers the wood carving museum and brass and bronze museum in Tachupal Chowk. The entrance to the gallery is flanked by two huge guardian lions, one male and one female. Beside the lions are some imposing 17th century statues of Hanuman, the monkey god, in his four-armed tantric form, and Vishnu as the god wrapping Narasimha. Inside the gallery are portraits of all the Saha kings, including assuredly Gyanendra, the last of the Nepali kings, following the abolition of the monarchy in 2008. In the first gallery, look out for depiction of the nightmarish Mahasambhara with 21 faces and an unbelievable number of arms, and then turn around on the spot for scenes from the Kama Sutra. Layout. The Durbar Square proper houses the 55 windows palace, which was constructed by King Bhupendra Malla and was home to royalty until 1769. It is now a national gallery. Close by is the Golden Gate, which leads into Mul Chowk Court, which is home to the Thalaji Temple. This temple, like others in the main towns of the Kathmandu Valley, is dedicated to the goddess Thalaji Bhavani and includes shrines to both the Thalaji Bhavani and Kumari. Entrance to the temple is restricted and the living goddess strictly cannot be photographed. The Durbar Square is surrounded by spectacular architecture and vividly showcases the skill of the Newari artists and craftsmen over several countries. The royal palace was originally situated at the Dattatreya Square and was only later moved to the Durbar Square location. The Durbar Square was severely damaged by the earthquake in 1934 and 1990, hence appears more spacious than the others in Kathmandu and Patan. Originally, there were 99 courtyards attached to this palace, but now only 6 remain. Before the 1934 earthquake, there were 3 separate groups of temples. Currently, the square is surrounded by buildings and survived the quake. On 25th April 2015, another major earthquake damaged many buildings in the square. The main temple in Bhaktapur square lost its roof, while the Vatsala Devi temple, famous for its sandstone walls and gold-top pagodas, was also demolished. Boudhanath, in Nepali, also called the Khasa Chaitya, Nepal Bhasha, Prachalit Nepal alphabet, Standard Tibetan Jarun Khaso Wili. Bear Run Khaso is a stupa in Kathmandu, Nepal, located about 11 km 6.8 miles from the central and northeastern outskirts of Kathmandu. The stupa's massive mandala makes it one of the largest spherical stupas in Nepal. The Buddhist stupa, Bauddha stupa, dominates the skyline. It is one of the largest unique structures in the world. The influx of large population of refugees from Tibet has seen the construction of over 50 compounds Tibetan convent around Bauddha as of 1979. Bauddha stupa is a UNESCO World Heritage Site along with the Swoyambhu. It is one of the most popular tourist sites in the Kathmandu area. The stupa is on the ancient trade route from Tibet, which enters the Kathmandu Valley by the village of Changu in the northeast corner, passes by Bauddha stupa to the ancient and smaller stupa of Chabahilu, named Charumati stupa, often called Little Boudhanath. It then turns directly south, heading over the Bagmati river to Lalitpur. Thus, by passing the main city of Kathmandu, which was a later foundation, Tibetan merchants have rested and offered prayers here for many centuries. When refugees entered Nepal from Tibet in the 1950s, many decided to live around Boudhanath. The stupa is said to entomb the remains of Kassapa Buddha. Mythology. According to the history of Nepal, the place of King Vikramaditya, Lichavi king, once stood where the Narayan palace currently stands. King Vikramaditya instructed that a Tungadhara stone tap should be built in the southern part of palace courtyard, but there was no sign of water from the Tungadhara, for which the king consulted astrologers. Astrologers suggested that a human sacrifice with a male candidate having 32 lakshan or 32 perfections should be performed. Only the king himself and his two princes were suitable candidates. So the king decided to sacrifice himself and ordered one of his sons to sacrifice him so that sign of water could be seen at the Tungadhara. According to local mythology, during the time of sacrifice, the head flew off to a place nearby Changu Vajrayogini temple. The prince then with a regretful heart threw a hand from the top of Vajrayogini and decided to construct a stupa where the hand landed. The hand landed in the place where Boudhanath stupa is currently standing. During the same time, the place was struck with a drought and the people managed to abate the scarcity of water by collecting the droplets of dew. So the place was named Khasti, as in Nepal Bhasha, Newari. Khas refers to dew and tea refers to drops. Later, His Majesty Government of Nepal renamed the place from Khasti to Boudhanath in order to reflect Hinduism as being the Hindu nation. History. The Gopal Raja Vamshaval says Boudhanath was founded by the Nepalese Lichavi king Sivadev 590 to 604 AD. Two other Nepalese chronicles date it to the reign of King Mandev 464 to 505 AD. Tibetan sources claim a mound on the site was excavated in the late 15th or early 16th century and the bones of Lichavi king Amsubarma 605 to 621 were discovered there. The earliest historical reference to the Khasti Chaitya are found in the chronicles of the Newars. Firstly, Khasti is mentioned as one of the four stupas found by the Lichavi king Rishadev. 400 AD or Vikramjit. Secondly, the Nevas legend of the Stupa's origin attributes it to King Dharmadev's son Mandev as atonement for his unwriting parricide. Mandev was the great Lichiviki, military conqueror and the patron of the arts who reigned 464 to 505. Mandev is also linked with the Swoyambhu Chaitya of Gumbahar. Thirdly, another great Lichavi king, Sivadev, 590 to 604, is associated with Bauddha by an inscription he may have restored the Chaitya. Historians suggested that the traditional knowledge to harvest dew droplets have been lost with time. The places that end with T have similar history such as Chalti, Kusunti, and so on. Khasti Ajima is one of the important Ajima of Kathmandu. The Newar tradition consider Ajima as superpower. This female energized protect the nation. The tradition of Kumari relates to a place called Kumari Gaon, which is south of Khasti. However, the emperor Trichong Detsen 755 to 797 of the Tibetan Empire is also traditionally associated with the construction of the Boudhanath Stupa. The Yolmo Sake Jangpo from Helambu erected Boudhanath, princess of Nepal. Bhikuti got married to king of Tibet, Sangchang Gampo. His other Chinese wife and Bhikuti are credited for introduction and spread of Buddhism in Tibet. Along Sangchang Gampo was Tresang Detsan, first Dharma king under him, while Buddhist was spreading in Tibet, and Tibet-Nepal trade relations were being stronger. A widow Tibetan woman traveled from Lhasa to visit Khasti. She brought her 4 sons and they were fascinated by witnessing how Neva people constructed Chaitya, a meta-symbolic construction with distinct level of suggestions, sagacity and profoundness. The woman's name was Jai Jingna, who took shade for many days in Khasti. Impressed by the hospitality of Nevas, she and her sons went back to Lhasa and told people stories about her experience in Nepal. She is notable as in those times only traders and especially men were once traveling Nepal, Tibet and back. She was fascinated by Khasti when she heard stories of Bhikuti spirit in Lhasa. Being a widow woman, she had to ask permission from the king to visit Khasti. Jajima, a hand-rearer woman, is noted down by the local Nevas of those times because of her attraction to the pilgrimage. It is said that she spent many days with her 4 sons in the premises of Khasti before going back to Lhasa. The 25th April 2015 great massive earthquake badly damaged Boudhanath Stupa, severely cracking the spire. As a result, the whole structure above the dome and the religious relics it contains had to be removed, which was completed by the end of October 2015. The reconstruction began on 3rd November 2015 with the ritual placement of a new central pole or life tree for the stupa at the top of the dome. Changu Narayan. The ancient Hindu temple of Changu Narayan is located on a high hilltop that is also known as Changu or Dwalagiri. Changu Narayan, the oldest temple in Nepal. As old itself, the Changu Narayan temple has a history that dates back to around 3000 years. The temple was surrounded by champak tree, forest and a small village known as Changu. The temple is located in Changu Narayan Village Development Committee of Bhaktapur district, Nepal. This hill is about 7 miles or 12 km east of Kathmandu and a few miles north of Bhaktapur. The Manahara River flows beside the hill. This shrine is dedicated to Lord Vishnu and held in special reverence by the Hindu people. This temple is considered to be the oldest temple in the history of Nepal. The Kashmiri king gave his daughter Champak in marriage to the prince of Bhaktapur. Changu Narayan temple is named after her. Myths of Changu Narayan. In ancient times, a gwala or cow herder had brought a cow from a Brahmin named Sudarshan. The cow was known for producing large quantities of milk. The gwala used to take the cow to Changu for grazing. At that time, Changu was a forest of champak tree. While grazing, the cow always went to the shade of a particular tree. In the evening, when the gwala took the cow home and started milking her, he got only a very small amount of milk. This continues for several days. He grew very sad. So he called on the Brahmin, saying the cow was not giving enough milk. After observing this with his own eyes, Sudarshan agreed with the gwala. They should observe the cow's daytime activity while she was grazing in the forest. Brahmin and gwala both hid behind the tree. To their surprise, a small black boy came out of the tree and started drinking the cow milk. The two men were furious because they thought the boy must be the devil and tree must be its home. So the Brahmin cut down the champak tree. When he was cutting it down, fresh human blood came out of the tree. Both Brahmin and gwala got worried, believing they had committed a great crime, and began to cry. Lord Vishnu emerged from the tree and told the Brahmin and cowherd it was not their fault. Vishnu told the story of how he had committed a heinous crime by unwittingly killing Sudarshan's father while hunting in the forest. After that, first for the crime, he wandered the earth on his mount, Garuda. Eventually, descending on the hill at Changu, there he lived in anonymity, surviving on milk stolen from a cow. When Brahmin cut down the tree, Vishnu was beheaded, which freed Lord Vishnu from his sins. After hearing these words from Vishnu, Brahmin and gwala resolved to worship the place and establish a small temple in the name of Lord Vishnu. Even since the site has been sacred. Even today, we find Sudarshan's descendant as a priest of the temple and the gwala's descendant as guthiars, conservators. There is another legend too. About 400 years ago, a mighty warrior named Anjal lived. He still lives today. He was the strongest in the entire country. Another warrior known all over Nepal named Changu challenged Pranjal. Changu defeated him and won the hearts of Nepalese people. So as a tribute to him, this temple was constructed. Physical aspects. Changu Narayan temple is situated at the top of the hill surrounded by a forest of champak tree. On the main way to temple courtyard, we have find a human settlement. People from Newar community live in and around Changu Narayan area. With the development of tourism in this place, we can find many medium and small size hotel, restaurants, souvenir shops, and ancient stone tap is located on the way to Changu Narayan, which is believed to have existed since the time of Lichavi. The temple area is currently under reconstruction since the 2015 Great Massive Earthquake. The temple and architecture. Changu Narayan is considered to be the oldest temple of Nepal. It remains a milestone in Nepali temple architecture with rich embossed works. The two-story roofed temple stands on a high plinth of stone. The temple is neither in Shikhara style nor the pagoda style. It has an architectural style which it would like to describe as a traditional Nepali temple. Many similar features are found at Gokarna Mahadev. The temple is surrounded by sculpture and arts related to Lord Vishnu. Also, we can find the temples of Lord Shiva, Ashtamatrika, Chinnamasta, Kileswar, and Krishna inside the courtyard of the main temple. There are 4 entrances to the temple, and these gates are guarded by life-size pairs of animals such as lions, sarabas, griffins, and elephants on each side of the entrances. The 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu and the other idols are carved in the struts, which support the roof. The entrance door is gilded with carving of naga snakes on the main entrance gate, western entrance gate. We can find the chakra, sankha, kamal, and kharga, all at the top of a stone pillar. These stone pillars have an inscription in Sanskrit. This inscription is considered to be the oldest inscription of Nepal, and the stone inscription pillar was erected by Lichavi Kingdom King Manadev in 464 AD. The following monument is located while visiting the temple from the right side after entering from the main entrance eastern gate to the courtyard. Festivals and fairs. Since the ancient period, many festivals and fairs have been organized on various occasions. One of the main festivals of Changu is called Changu Narayan Jatra. The festival Mahasanam here is an important festival. On the day of Jugadi Naumi and Haribodhini Ekadashi, special puja is conducted in Changu. Daily puja and arati are conducted in the temple. On the occasion of family rituals such as birthday, marriage, local conducts special puja at the temple. One of the festival of Changu is Nag Panchami and Haribodhini. Kathmandu Durbar Square, Bhaktapur Durbar Kshetra, in front of the old royal palaces of the former Kathmandu Kingdom, is one of the 3 Durbar royal palaces squares in the Kathmandu Valley in Nepal, all of which are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Several buildings in the square collapsed due to a major earthquake on 25th April 2015. Durbar Square was surrounded with spectacular architecture and vividly showcased the skills of the Newar artists and craftsmen over several centuries. The Kathmandu Durbar Square held the palaces of the Malla and Saha king who ruled over the city. Along with these palaces, the square surrounds quadrangles revealing courtyard and temple. It is known as Hanuman Dhoka Durbar Square, a name derived from a statue of Hanuman, the monkey devotee of Lord Ram, at the entrance of the palace. History and construction. The preference for the construction of royal palaces at these sites dates back to as early as the Lichavi period in the 3rd century. Even though the present palaces and temples have undergone repeated and extensive renovations and nothing physical remains from the period. Names like Gunapo and Gupo, which are the names referred to the palaces in the square in early scripture, imply that the palaces were built by Gunakamdev, a king ruling late in the 10th century when Kathmandu city became independent under the rule of King Ratnamalla, 1484-1520 AD. The palaces in the square became the royal palaces for its Malla kings. When Prithvinarayan Saha invaded the Kathmandu Valley in 1769 AD, he favored the Kathmandu Durbar Square for his palace. Other subsequent Saha kings continued to rule from the square until 1896 when they moved to the Narayan Palace. The square is still the center of important royal events like the coronation of King Virendra Bir Bikram Saha in 1975 and King Gyananda Bir Bikram Saha in 2001. Though there are no written archives stating the history of Kathmandu Durbar Square, construction of the palace in the square is credited to Shankardev, 1069 to 1086 AD. As the first king of the independent Kathmandu city, Ratnamalla is said to have built the Thaliji temple in the northern side of the palace in 1501. For this to be true, when the temple would have had to have been built in the Bihara style as part of the palace premises surrounding the Mulchok courtyard, for no evidence of a separate structure that would match this temple can be found within the square. Construction of the Karnal Chowk is not clearly stated in any historical inscription, although it is probably the oldest among all the courtyards in the square. The Bhagavati temple, originally known as a Narayan temple, rises above the mansions surrounding it and was added during the time of Jagajay Malla in the early 18th century. The Narayan idol within the temple was stolen, so Prithvi Narayan Saha replaced it with an image of Bhagavati, completely transforming the name of the temple. The old temples in the square are those built by Mahendra Malla, 1560 to 1574. There are the temples of Jagannath, Kotilingeshwar Mahadev, Mahendra Swara and the Thaliji temple. This three-roofed Thaliji temple was established in the 1564 in a typical Newari architectural style and is elevated on a platform that form a pyramid-like structure. It is said that Mahendra Malla, when he was residing in Bhaktapur, was highly devoted to the Thaliji temple there. The goddess, being pleased with his devotion, gave him a vision asking him to build a temple for her in the Kathmandu Durbar Square. With the help of a hermit, he designed the temple to give it its present form, and the goddess entered the temple in the form of a bee. His successful Sadashiva, 1575-1581, his son Shiva Simha, and his grandson Lakshmi Narsingh, 1619-1641, do not seem to have made any major additions to the square during this period of 3 generations. The only constructions to have occurred were the establishment of Degulet temple dedicated to goddess Mother Thalaju by Shiva Simha and some enhancement in the royal palace by Lakshmi Narsingh Simha under Pratap Malla. In the time of Pratap Malla, the square was extensively developed. He was an intellectual, pious devotee and especially interested in arts. He called himself a Kavindra, king of poets, and boasted that he was learned in 15 different languages. A passionate builder, following his coronation as a king, he immediately began enlargement to his royal palace and rebuilt some old temples and constructed new temples, shrines and stupas around his kingdom. Indrapur temple left and Vishnu temple right at the Kathmandu Durbar square. During the construction of his palace, he added a small entrance in the traditional low and narrow Newari style. The door was elaborately decorated with carving and painting of deities and auspicious signs and was later transferred to the entrance of Mulchok. In front of the entrance, he placed the statue of Hanuman, thinking that Hanuman, monkey god, would strengthen his army and protect his home. The entrance leads to Nasal Chowk, the courtyard where most royal events such as coronation, performance and yajnas, holy fire rituals, take place. It was named after Nasadya, the god of dance, and during the time of Pratap Malla, the sacred mask dance dramas performed in Nasal Chowk were widely famed. In one of these dramas, it is said that Pratap Malla himself played the role of Lord Vishnu and that the spirit of the Lord remained in the king's body even after the play. After consulting his tantric leaders, he ordered a strong image of Lord Vishnu in his incarnation as Narsimha, the half lion and half human form, and then transferred the spirit into the stone. This fine image of Narsimha, made in 1673, still stands in the Nasal Chowk in 1650. He commissioned for the construction of Mool Chowk in the palace. This chowk remained the royal residential courtyard for many years and is believed to store great amounts of treasure under its surface. Pratap Malla also built Sundari Chowk about this time. He placed a slab engraved with lines in 15 languages and proclaimed that he can understand the inscription would produce the flow of milk instead of water from Tutethara water tap, a fountain set in the outer walls of Mulchok. However elaborate his construction may have been, they were not simply intended to emphasize his luxurious but also his and the importance of other devotion towards such deities. He made extensive donations to temples and had the order once renovated. Next to the palace, he built a Krishna temple, the Bangsagopal, in an occasional shape in 1649. He dedicated this temple to his two Indian wives, Rupmati and Rajamati. As both had died during the year it was built in Mulchok, he erected a three-roofed Agamchem temple and a unique temple with 5 superimposing roofs. After completing restoring the Mulchok, he donated to the adjoining Taleju temple. To the main temple of Taleju, he donated metal doors in 1617. He rebuilt the Dagule temple built by his grandfather Sivasimha and the Taleju temple in the palace square. As a substitute to the Indreswara Mahadev temple in the distant village of Panoti, he built a Shiva temple Indrapura near his palace in the square. He carved hands on the walls of the Jagannath temple as prayer to Taleju in the form of Kali. At the southern end of the square near Kathmandu at Maru, which was the main city crossroad for early traders, he built another pavilion named Kavindapura, the mansion of the king of poets. In this mansion, he set an idol of dancing Shiva, Dashadya, which today is highly worshipped by dancers in the Valley Kathmandu. Sanskrit Nepali Bhasha, Maru Satta. Literally, wood-carved shelter was a 3-storied public shelter that included a shrine consecrated to Gorakhnath, situated at Maru, Kathmandu, Nepal. Several myths and stories about the date of the construction of the Kathmandu temple have been resolved with the recent archaeological finding. The newly discovered objects during the excavation here in the aftermath of the 2015 earthquake have suggested that the Kathmandu may have been built in the 7th century during the Lichavi era. Before this, it was assumed that the Kathmandu was built in around the 12th century. A team of international and national experts from the Department of Archaeology, Government of Nepal and Durham University had excavated beneath the Kathmandu and found coal and sand in the foundation. The foundation soil, coal and sand were taken to the University of Stirling, Scotland for carbon and optically stimulated luminescence test. Nearly 7 months of lab tests showed that the Kathmandu temple was built in the 7th century. Senior archaeologist Prasad Acharya, who was involved in the team led by experts from Durban University, said that the result of the lab test of the coal found during the excavation proved that it was 2200 years old and it was a farming land before the construction of the Kathmandu. The team is now carrying out excavation works of the Kathmandu with the financial and technological support of the National Geographic Society and Art and Humanities Research Council. It is said that the Kathmandu was built from the timber of a single tree. Scientific tests of the sample wood are also being conducted to see if this is the case. It was revealed that there was no fault with the construction of the Kathmandu foundation, but a fault was found in the construction process above it. Among the 4 pillars, one was negligently erected, which led to the destruction of Kathmandu in the earthquake, said the experts. On 25th April 2050, Kathmandu temple, along with many others on the Kathmandu Durbar Square, was damaged and collapsed by the April Nepal earthquake, which had an estimated magnitude of 7.9. During the excavation, copper plate inscription mentioning of Jai Sthiti Malla, Jyoti Malla and Yogmati Bhatarika have been recovered from a pillar of the Kathmandu temple. In the manuscript dated Nepal Sambat 499, 454 and 543 AD 1288, it is written that the person responsible for operating the Pasali Bhairav Jatra has to organize the festival following the specific regulation. The foundation of the heritage site was found strongly built using traditional methods. During the cleaning of the debris, more damage was done by the use of dozers, they said. And local mothers group organized food Nevari food festival in every last month of Nepali calendar or second week Saturday of English calendar. Swoyambhu or Swoyambhu is an ancient religious architecture atop a hill in the Kathmandu Valley, west of Kathmandu city. The Tibetan name for the site means sublime trees, Wili, Fagspa, Sinkun, for the many varieties of trees found on the hill. However, Sinkun may be a corruption of the local Nepal Bhasha name for the complex Changu, meaning self-sprung, for the Buddhist Nevas, in whose mythological history and origin match as well as day-to-day religious practice. Swoyambhu occupies a central position. It is probably the most sacred among Buddhist pilgrimage sites. For Tibetans and followers of Tibetan Buddhism, it is second only to Buddha. The complex consists of a stupa, a variety of shrines and temples, some dating back to the Lichavi period. A Tibetan monastery, museum, and library are more recent additions. The stupa has Buddha's eyes and eyebrows painted on between them. The number 1 in Devanagari script Nepali is painted in the fashion of a nose. There are also shops, restaurants and hotels. The site has two access points, a long staircase leading directly to the main platform of the temple, which is from the top of the hill to the east, and a car road around the hill from the south leading to the southwest entrance. The first sight on reaching the top of the stairway is the Vajra. Chultrim alone describes the experience. Vajra was the vast, round white dome of the stupa, like a full solid spot, at the top of which were two giant Buddha eyes wisely looking out over the peaceful valley which was just beginning to come alive. Much of Shambhunath iconography comes from the Vajrayana tradition of Nepal Buddhism. However, the complex is also an important site for Buddhists of many schools and is also revered by Hindu mythology. According to Swoyambhu Puran, the entire valley was once filled with an enormous lake, out of which grew a lotus. The valley came to be known as Swoyambhu, meaning self-created. The name comes from the eternal self-existence flame, Swoyambhu, over which a stupa was later built. Swayambhunath is also known as the monkey temple, as there are holy monkeys living in the northwest part of the temple. They are holy because Manjushri, the bodhisattva of wisdom and learning, was rising the hill which the stupa stands on. She was supposed to leave her hair short, but they made it grow long and hair lice grew. It is said that the hair lice transformed into these monkeys. Manjushri had a vision of the lotus at Swoyambhu and traveled there to worship. Seeing that the valley could be a good settlement and to make the site more accessible to human pilgrims, he cut a gorge at Chobar. The water drained out of the lake, leaving the valley in which Kathmandu now lies. The lotus was transformed into a hill and the flower became the stupa. History. Swayambhunath is among the oldest religious sites in Nepal. It was founded by the great-grandfather of King Mandev, 464 to 505 AD. About the beginning of the 5th century, this seems to be confirmed by a damaged stone inscription found at the site, which indicates that King Prasudev ordered work done in 640. However, Emperor Ashoka is said to have visited the site in the 3rd century before Christ and built a temple on hill which was later destroyed. Although the site is considered Buddhist, the place is revered by both Buddhists and Hindus. Numerous Hindu monarchs' followers are known to have paid their homage to the temple, including Pratap Malla, the powerful king of Kathmandu, who is responsible for the construction of the eastern stairway in the 17th century AD. The stupa was completely renovated in May 2010, its first major renovation since 1921 and its 15th in the nearly 1,500 years since it was built. The dome was regilded using 20 kg of gold. The renovation was funded by the Tibetan Nyingma Meditation Center of California and began in June 2008. At around 5 a.m. on 14 February 2011, Bhaktapur temple in the Swoyambhu monument zone suffered damage from lightning strikes during a sudden thunderstorm. The Swoyambhu complex suffered damage in the April 2015 Nepal Great Massive Earthquake. Architecture. The stupa consists of a dome at the base, above which is a cubical structure painted with eyes of Buddha looking in all 4 directions. There are pentagonal toran present above each of the 4 sides with status engraved in them. Behind and above the Toran, there are 13 tiles. Above all the tiles, there is a small space above which the Gajur is present. The stupa has many artifacts inside it. Symbolism. The dome at the base represents the entire world. When a person awakes, represented by eyes of wisdom and compassion from the bonds of the world. The person reaches the state of enlightenment. The 13 pinnacles on the top symbolize that sentient beings have to go through the 13 stages of spiritual realizations to reach enlightenment or Buddhahood. There is a large pair of eyes on each of the four sides of the main stupa, which represent wisdom and compassion. Above each pair of eyes is another eye, the third eye. It is said that when Buddha preaches, cosmic rays emanate from the third eye, which acts as message to heavenly beings, so that those interested can come down to earth to listen to the Buddha. The hell is being and being below the human realms cannot come to earth to listen to the Buddha's teaching. However, the cosmic rays relieve their suffering when Buddha preaches. Between the two eyes, also called wisdom eyes, a curly symbol symbolizing the nose is depicted, which looks like a question mark, which is a Nepali sign of number figure 1. This sign represents the unity of all things existing in the world as well as the only path to enlightenment through the teachings of Buddhas. There are carvings of the Pancha-Buddhas, 5 Buddhas, on each of the 4 sides of the stupa. There are also statues of the Buddhas at the base of the stupas. Pancha-Buddhas are Buddha in a metaphorical sense in Tantrayan. There are Bhairokchana occupies the center and is the master of the temple. Akshavaya faces the east, represents the cosmic elements of the consciousness. Ratnasambhava faces the south and represents the cosmic elements of sensation. Amitabh, he represents the cosmic element of Sanjana, name and always face the west. And Amok Siddhi, he represents the cosmic elements of confirmation and faces the north. Each morning before dawn, hundreds of Buddhist, Vajrayan and Hindu pilgrims ascend the steps from the eastern side that lead up the hill, passing the gilded Vajra, and 2 lines guarding the entrance and begin a series of clockwise circumambulation of the stupa. Swoyambhu Puran. Swoyambhu Puran is a Buddhist sculpture about the origin and development of Kathmandu Valley. Swoyambhu Puran gives detail of all the Buddhas who came to Kathmandu. It also provides information about the first and the second Buddhas in Buddhism. Patan Durbar Square is situated at the center of the city of Lalitpur in Nepal. It is one of the 3 Durbar squares in the Kathmandu Valley, all of which are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. One of its attractions is the ancient royal palace, where the history of the Durbar Square is not clear. Although the Malla kings of Lalitpur are credited with the establishment of the royal square, it is known that the site is an ancient crossroad. The Pradhans who settled around the site before the Mallas. have connection with the Durbar Square. Some chronicles hint that the Thakuri dynasty built a palace and made reforms to the locality, but there is little evidence of this. Scholars are certain that Patan was a prosperous city since ancient times. The Malla king made important changes to the square. Most of the current architecture is from the 1600 AD, constructed during the reign of King Siddhi Malla and his son Srinivas Sukriti. Some of the notable Malla kings who improved the square include Purandar Sima, Shiva Sima Malla and Yognarendra Malla. Malla king of Lalitpur resided Patan is one of the oldest Buddhist cities. It is a center of both Hindus and Buddhism with 136 bahals or courtyards and 55 major temples. Most of these structures are in the vicinity of the Durbar Square. The Durbar Square is marvel of newer architecture. The square floor is tiled with red bricks. There are many temples and idols in the area. The main temples are aligned opposite of the western face of the palace. The entrance of the temples faces east towards the palace. There is also a bell situated in the alignment beside the main temples. The square also holds old Newari residential houses. There are other temples and structures in and Patan Durbar Square built by the Neva people. The square was heavily damaged by the earthquake in 2015, April 25th, and is still under reconstruction. Krishna Mandir temple is the most important temple in Patan Durbar Square. It was built in the local variety of Sikhara style called Granthakuja. The stone carving along the beam above the first and second floor pillar are most notable. The first floor pillar carvings narrate the events of the Mahabharata, while on the second floor there are visuals carving from Ramayana. The temple was built in 1637 by King Siddhi Malla. It is said that one night the king saw Lord Krishna and his consort Srimati Radha standing in front of the royal palace. He ordered a temple to be built on the same spot. There are 21 golden pinnacles in the temple. Below the pinnacles are 3 stories. The first floor holds the main shrine of Lord Krishna with shrines of Radha and Rukmini at each side. The second floor is dedicated to Lord Shiva and the third to Lokeshwar, Avalokiteshwar. The square is crowded with thousands of Hindu pilgrims and devotees during Krishna Ashtami. Bhimsen Vindhya temple was built by Srinivas Malla in 1680 AD. It is renowned for its 3 interconnected golden windows. Bhimsen is a great personality in Mahabharata and never been there is different. Although there is no concrete proof, these 2 deities are separate. He was known to be brave and strong. In Neva, he is traditionally worshipped as a god of business and trade. Tourists are not allowed inside the temple. Vishwanath temple is dedicated to god Shiva. It was built in 1627 AD during the reign of Siddhi Malla. The roof supports are decorated with erotic carvings similar to imaginary widespread in Shiva temples in India. The temple is guarded by two stone elephants in the front entrance. On the other side of the temple is the sculpture of a bull, Shiva's vehicle. A stone linga is enshrined inside the temple. Taleju Bhavani temple was built by Siddhi Malla in 1640 AD and rebuilt by Srinivas Malla in 1667 after a fire. Taleju Bhavani was the personal deity of the Malla kings. It is a 5-story temple with triple roofs. The 14th century chronicle of Gopal kings hint a Taleju temple was built by the Pradhans before the Mallas. Layout of the palace. The three main courtyards in the palace are Mul Chowk, Sundari Chowk and Kesab Narayan Chowk. Beside these courtyards, the complex boasts impressive temples, religious shrines and historical places, all noted for their exquisite carving and beautiful display of ancient Newari architecture. Kesab Narayan Chowk is inside the Patan Museum, to the north of the Mul Chowk. Kesab Narayan temple is located at the center of this chowk and gave the chowk its name. Mul Chowk is the center courtyard. It is the most famous and center largest courtyard among the three main chowks. Vidya temple is located at its center and Taleju temples stands around the courtyard. The doorway to the shrine of Taleju on the southern side of the courtyard is confined by the statues of the river goddess Ganga on a tortoise and Jamuna on a carved Makura, mythical crocodile. Tulsi Hiti. Hiti means tap in Newari. Sundari Chowk is to the south of the Mul Chowk. It is designed with sunken tank known as Tusahiti. Smaller than the Mul Chowk, it is now open to the public. The entrance of the chowk is guarded by the stone statues of Hanuman, Ganesh and Narsimha, man lion from Vishnu. Hiranyabarna Mahabihar, Nepali, also Kuabahal, informally called the Golden Temple, with literal meaning gold color great monastery, is a historical Bihar Buddhist monastery situated in Patan. The temple offers the very ancient creation in the historical architectures and monuments. The 3-story golden pagoda of Sakyamuni Buddha was built in the 12th century by King Bhaskar Burma. Inside the upper story of the pagoda is golden image and a large prayer wheel. A prayer wheel is cylindrical wheel, Tibetan while khorlo, on a spindle made from metal, wood, stone, leather or coarse cotton. Traditionally, the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum is written in Newari language of Nepal on the outside of the wheel. Also sometimes depicted are dakinis, protectors, and very often the 8 auspicious symbols Astamangala. At the core of the cylinder is a life tree, often made of wood or metal with certain mantras written on or wrapped around it. Many thousands, or in the case of larger prayer wheels, millions of mantras are then wrapped around this life tree. The mantra Om Mani Padme Hum is most commonly used, but other mantras may be used as well. According to the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, based on the lineage tests regarding prayer wheels, spinning such a wheel will have much the same meritorious effect as orally reciting the prayers.